Okay, we're back. All right, so happy Wednesday, first of all. My name's Janita Branch, and I'm with Purpose for a Purpose. Thank you for tuning in to this month's casual conversation. So, we have a wonderful guest who just joined us. So, I'm going to invite her to our conversation. Um, and we are going to be talking about, I think, is perfect for kind of what's going on right now in our world. And that is stress management. There she is. Hey,
Hello.
good morning. Can I still say
Morning.
morning? Okay.
I decided to go outside and see if I could get better reception.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining me today.
Sure.
I had shared earlier that I actually picked the topics for casual conversation back in January, like the beginning of January, not even realizing that in the month of April, we would be kind of in the midst of what's going on right now with coronavirus and just having this, the quarantine and just social distancing. But God knew. And so it's like the perfect topic, I think, for just what people are kind of dealing with right
Yeah.
now, but also just life in general, right? Um, this is perfect. So I would love, I had tried not to give too much information away about you because I
Okay.
wanted you to kind of introduce yourself.
Okay.
So it just kind of, let's take a few minutes and you just kind of introduce yourself and talk about what you do.
All right. Well, my name is Rah Freestone. I am a life coach and morning routine strategist, is what I'm calling myself. I've recently been dubbed the Queen of Calm. It's something that I've actually been told a lot throughout my life, but it's something that circled back around because I wasn't always calm.
Okay.
I have Oh goodness, I've been widowed and divorced and remarried, and a lot of trials in life. I've been a single parent for quite some time, homeschooling two kiddos, and then now our family it has tripled, and so we are doing a lot of things. When I first, oh my goodness, the lack of calm in my life, I would probably say the biggest anyway was when my first husband passed away and my
Okay.
kiddos were very young, and I just felt like they needed something in their lives to stay constant, and that one constant thing that I could keep was my faith.
Mm,
Everything else just kind of went to pot. I started to become irritable and angry all the time, but I held on to my faith. And I fought God. He told me to homeschool, and I didn't want to do that. All the things. And then finally, I've gotten to the place to where I almost burnt out completely.
oh,
I was doing all the things. I was homeschooling. I was in graduate school. I had a home business I had a shop in my home.
wow.
I was a leader of a youth community group, and I had a lot going on, and I wasn't taking care of myself, and I didn't know how to deal with the stress, and I was still, had a lot of stuff that hadn't dealt with before then. Um, so finally, I had to, because I was faking it all that time.
Yeah.
And so the Lord showed me how to do that. And that's when calm started to re enter my life.
Okay.
So,
Wow. Yeah. So right now, whenever, like when you say homeschooling, and
yes.
I like, yeah, hats off to you because I'm doing distance learning. I need to hold on one. I need my phone is about to die for whatever
Oh,
reason.
okay.
I'm just like the battery, so I don't want to lose you.
Okay.
But you're fine. My husband just walked in. So I'm like,
Okay.
SOS. But like homeschooling, I think right now, and I know that homeschooling looks different for a lot of people, but like for
Yes.
me, we have the curriculum, we're doing distance learning, but I know when I stepped into that, I just was immediately stressed because it's not something that I do every day. Like, my kids go to school. And so I think I've heard from quite a few people that are in the same situation, a lot of people actually that are now having to kind of take on this additional role of homeschooling their kids or just helping their kids with their education has been it's been stressful. It's been a big adjustment. It's been overwhelming, especially when you're trying, for those that are trying to balance work, working from home on top of just having your kids home all the time, and now also trying to make sure that they're still getting their work done. That can be very stressful. So I know this topic is going to be good for me because we've had some difficult months or weeks, I should say, just with homeschooling. We're on spring break right now, so
Okay.
it's been a nice break, to say the least. So I listening to your story, I feel like, so you kind of like things in your life kind of you were kind of adjusting, and it kind of brought you kind of to this point, right? God was kind of talking to you in the midst
Yes.
of what was going on.
Yes.
And so you made the decision to start the Invigorated Life.
Yes.
And so with the Invigorated Life, what kind of give like some, like, what do you do with that?
Okay. So I teach a workshop. It uses a journaling tool that helps people learn how to navigate from wherever they're at. So that stressful state of, whatever it is, to a more mindful state so they can get to that calm place so that they can
Mm,
actually hear God speaking to them.
yeah.
Because when our emotions are riled up, there is no way that we're going to be able to hear a still small voice
Right.
speaking the next direction, the next right step. So um, it's called Let It Go the Right Way, WRITE, as in writing. So
Okay.
for journaling. I also do coaching sessions around the same format, which basically helps people travel through time. One of the things about that is getting mindful and getting to a place where you're calm is not something that you can just, do spontaneously,
Mm-hmm.
especially when there's a lot of emotions involved. Things have happened, a lot of turmoil, a lot of feeling, just so much going on. So it's really used to guide people step by step from where they're at in a strategic way to get them to that calm place.
Okay. So it's like guided journaling. Is that
Yes,
kind of, okay?
in a way. So it's one of those things that there's prompts, but
Okay.
there's also some very specific instructions for each prompt.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So there's
I
5 steps, and each step is a prompt.
Okay, awesome. I love journaling. Like that's like my new, I don't know what,
Girl, you and me both.
self-help tool. I don't know what it's come in handy. I've been journaling a lot these past like couple of weeks. I used to really just use it kind of like what you're saying, to kind of help me process my emotions. So
Yeah.
I call it my emotional spiral. I can feel myself just starting to spiral emotionally out of control. And I was going down all kinds of rabbit holes with my thoughts, making up my own little narratives to situations.
Right.
And I would journal, and when I would journal, man, I feel so much better. That clarity, that I would gain, and then just like you're talking about, being able to just hear God. I feel like I would be able to really hear, if when God was speaking, but even outside of that, I was able to just kind of like put it all on the page, and then just be like, okay, whew. It's like really just taking a lot of weight off my shoulders, and just
Letting it
gaining
go.
that clarity and stuff. And it was, and even if after I wrote it, I didn't even have a conversation with the person or whatever, I just felt so much better. So I'm a huge advocate of journaling. So I love let it go the right way. I think
Yeah.
I love that name. I love
I'm
that
into
name.
puns and plays on words, so it just, one of those.
Yeah, love that. I do. Writing, even if people aren't a big journaler, I think that just even if in the midst of something you just take time to write is helpful. Um, so you said something, I wrote it down, travel through time. You
Yeah.
said that when you do that, you are traveling through time. What, you don't have to tell me everything, 'cause I want people,
Okay.
I don't want to give it all, but what do you mean by that?
So we get stuck. We get stuck in story. We get stuck in life. We get stuck in thoughts. And those thoughts originate from different places in time. So
Mm,
the past, are things that happened to us. And sometimes we get stuck in, what such and such did or said or what happened to me. And our thoughts are focused in that past place. And then we get frustrated, irritable, angry, whatever, based on being stuck in that state. And then there's the opposite end of the spectrum where we're stuck in the future, wondering, stressing, worrying about what should happen in the future. And so those two ends of the spectrum are not presents. They're just not. But that tends to be where people are, one place or the other, or back and forth. And a lot of times people don't know how to become present. And so that's what the time travel to freedom process, which is the journaling process that I teach, does. It helps you navigate through different places in time in a strategic way so that you can become present.
I love that. I'm like, maybe I should take your class. That is really good. When you were talking about that, I think it's really, have you ever done that with kids? Like
I've done it with youth, yes.
Okay, with youth.
Even my little kids.
Yeah, I try to teach that principle to my son. He's always worried about the next thing, and I'm like, let's enjoy like right now. Like, can we, be like in the present, or he's worried about past things, and I'm just like, let's focus on the present right now. Not that we shouldn't plan and, but sometimes we think so much about the future that we miss out on what's going on in the present, so I think, yeah, that's a wonderful.
And it clouds our vision, and it makes it difficult to make decisions from a clear mind because of all the junk and clutter that's going on inside. So clearing all that out and getting to the present is where we can then, again, hear the voice of the Lord and then move forward.
Yes, I love it. So I'm always on I'm on your page, your Facebook page, watching my videos.
Okay.
You did 90 days of calm. Whoa. That I was like, wow. Tell me, where did that come from? Like, where did that idea come from, and what was that about?
Yeah, it was listening. It was another moment of listening. I felt like there was something that I needed to do, and I needed to focus, not just for, other people to help them focus, but for myself too, and what I was offering to people and what I was giving to the world, especially in this time where we are so not calm.
Right.
And, it wasn't one of those, it was just kind of came out. And 90 days afterwards, I was like, that's a long time. Like, how am I going to come up with all this? But it was just one of those things that I felt like it was the right next step for me. And as time has unfolded, I've seen more and more purpose for that time period. So it's just one of those, stepping in faith kind of things and trusting that was the Lord speaking and that he's guiding me. And, I'm helping other people, just keeping consistently focusing on calm.
Yeah, I love, I do, calm. I think that's such a word that we do use. And one of your videos, you mentioned this, you said, there's that little meme that goes around all the time, like, keep calm and do, and it's a word that we use a lot, but what does that really mean? You define that in one of the videos. I was going to see if you would be willing to share that definition with us.
Oh my goodness, I have to think back to that one.
Yeah.
Calm. I to be honest, I really don't remember. And let me tell you this.
Okay.
This is part of the reason why I don't remember. Because literally every day by day, I received what I was supposed to say.
Oh.
And it was scary because I like to plan. I like to know ahead of time. I like to be able to have plenty of time to like get my feelings together, get my, rest in it, and just kind of ease into things. But it was a day by day thing. And I felt like I didn't want to do it that way.
Yeah.
But that's how God led me. And so that's part of the reason why I really can't remember right now.
Yeah,
to be honest,
didn't write down the definition. I was like, well, she'll tell it. I should have wrote it down.
It's
about the
probably
final.
day 2 or 3, somewhere
It
around
was
there.
day three. It was day three. I
Okay,
do remember that.
that I remember too. Yeah, it was
um,
early on.
yes,
So
I
go
love
to day 3.
day three. Go to our Facebook page, day three of the 90-day calm. I can't remember the name of that video. It may have just said day. I don't know if it said day three.
What is
I
what
can't
is it?
remember.
No, those had a
There was a
question. It probably is, what
yeah.
does calm mean? What does it mean to be calm?
I'm gonna
Something like
find
that.
it. I'm gonna find it and share it because that'll
Okay.
just make it easier.
Okay.
But I also, but you mentioned in this same video, you talked about having an aimless, like being in an aimless and reactive state of mind versus
Yes.
a proactive state of mind.
Yes.
And I wrote that down. That really resonated with me because I
Yes.
think a lot of times we can be very reactive, and or just our mind, we're all over the place, whether it's in our thoughts, our actions, or just aimlessly. I felt like this yesterday. I just felt like I had no control. I just
Yeah.
have I had a lot on my list, and I was just
Yeah.
pinging. I sensed it.
Yeah.
Instead of being kind of on the other side of that, which is proactive, and doing things to allow ourselves to. I feel like I'm more productive. Like when I can
Oh
take
yeah.
a proactive step, just be more productive and just be more intentional about. It could be the things that I say, the things that I'm doing, my actions, because I'm slowed down. I feel like when I slow down, I can think before I speak. I can think
Yeah.
before respond.
Absolutely.
I can respond and not react, like all of that. But can we talk a little bit about like the difference between those and why one
Yes.
is better for us than the other one?
Okay. So the aimless part of it, I like to call or refer to as zombie mode. It's where you're just kind of like just going through the motions of life.
Yeah.
There's no life in you. It's just you're just actually like, kind of like puppeting through life. And there's no purpose, there's no direction. It's just being. Um, and there's a quote that talks about dying with the fire in you, and it's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
living without the fire in you. Just being aimless. Um, and the reactive state is more like, something happens and you just immediately, just respond to it, well, react to it out of impulse. And sometimes those responses are things that automatically happen that kind of, habits. We don't think
Mm-hmm.
about those either. We just kind of out of habit respond to things pretty quickly. And, a lot of times we look back and say, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said or done that. But that was our reaction. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's no pause between what happened and what we do about it. So I talked about that, I think, in that video too, the antecedent and the consequence. Well, our behavior is the middle part. And, what comes before is the trigger. And then we
Yep.
react, and then there's a consequence for that reaction. Whereas when you're in a more proactive state, first of all, there's the mindfulness piece, right? When you're more mindful or calm, then you are able to take that pause and then think about what it is that you want to do or how it is that you want to respond or hear what it is that is the correct response or the right thing to do. And being proactive is actually a step ahead of that, a step beyond that, and preparing yourself for a place where you can have the energy in reserves, have the knowledge in reserves, have the wisdom within you to then step into that,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. So a lot of times we are aimless and reactive because we're exhausted. We
Mm.
have spent all of our energy, and so we just kind of go on, autopilot.
Yeah.
But when you're proactive and when you're mindful, you have energy in reserves and you can move forward with purpose and
Yeah.
intention. So that's the biggest difference, the amount of energy that you have and can give to
Yeah.
whatever happens in
Oh, that's good. I don't have anything to add to that. That was right. That was phenomenal. I was like, yeah,
life.
that's true. I mean, there's so much truth to what you said. And I think when you said just being tired, And I think that's important. I know that sometimes when I get tired, I mean, even hungry, because sometimes my
Yes.
husband and I will be doing something and he'll be like, "Are you hungry?" I'm like, "I am." Like your mood, just,
Yeah.
but also like that awareness though, to be able to pause and or to just to know like what's going on. Like, you know what, I
Right.
think I need to go eat, or I need to go lay down, or just take a breather, just get by myself. Yesterday, like I was saying, I was all over the place. I mean, I'm a big list person. I love to kind of have like a to-do list, and I've started trying to identify like the top three things that I know that I need to get done today. Everything else is bonus, and I just go for those three. But yesterday I didn't. I just kind of went with it, and the kids, I was like, look, this is what y'all got to do. I got to go outside, and I just went
Yes.
outside, read a book, got it together, and then came back in and was able to kind of engage. So I think that self-awareness is a big part, to realize like, you know what, I'm not functioning at that level that I need to be at. I need to pull away, regroup, and come back. It's so important as well. I love that. That's really good. So a part of your title is self-care coach, but also
Yes.
morning routine strategist.
Yes.
Can we talk about that part of your
Yes.
title, the morning routine strategist? I
Yes.
have a morning routine, and it involves coffee. So
Okay.
I'm like, whatever it is, it has to involve coffee. So
Okay.
what is that about?
Okay. So this kind of speaks to what you were talking about earlier. You know, how you were saying that you had, um, well, let's just talk about it. This is the proactive part.
Okay.
So having your energy in reserves and having that self-awareness of what it takes for you to maintain that energy or
Mm,
to conserve it for a time when you need to exert it. So I don't try to tell people what they should do for a morning routine.
okay.
I don't try to give people lists for, do this, 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 and this,
Okay.
because I see it as a process. And a process is something that you can build habits out of.
Hmm.
And it's easier to keep doing it. That's why. When somebody tells you to do something, you might be motivated right away. Hey, that sounds awesome. I'm going to try this. And then you get into it and you're like, am I doing it right? Or, and just there's so many doubts, confusion, distractions that happen. But when you get into the process of a morning routine,
Mm,
that's when you can proactively tell your body
okay.
um, what to do. And again, that's when Heavenly Father can speak to you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So the process really is about finding that time, and this is where the self-care comes
Okay.
in the morning, where you are best, where you best can conserve your energy. So in the
Mm,
morning time, that's that time between sleep and awake, is when you are most apt to receiving word word from God, when
okay.
He can talk to you, because you're not distracted. You're not thinking about too many other things in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say morning routine. But the strategist part is to help you figure out your own strategy, how
Okay.
God speaks to you, what's the best process for you to instate in your life so that you are energized, and because it's different for everybody,
Right. Yeah.
and we all have different needs. um and the way God talks to us is different. I see Stephanie on here. She's talked about how oh, she posted a link on there. She
Yeah.
talked about how God talks to her in the shower. You know what I
Yes,
mean? So if
Stephanie.
He talks to you in the shower,
Is that
maybe that
from
should be part of your morning routine.
okay. I can't see. Well, I
Prep
don't see.
Queen. Oh, it says
Okay.
Prep Queen.
Okay. Yes, Stephanie, I'm with you.
Hello,
Yep.
Zena. Yes. So, that's where the self-care and morning routine strategist comes from. So kind
Okay.
of coaching people through their own process. And I haven't gotten to this part yet because I feel like people are mostly still kind of in the stress management and trying to figure out, what time orientation they're in, past or
Mm-hmm.
future. stuff like that. This is definitely the next level, you know, like bumping it up to being more proactive, which, you know, sometimes it takes time to
Okay.
build up to that place. And it's a habit building thing. And if checklists, you know, or adding something new to your life stresses you out, it's not going to be something that people are going to be ready to receive
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah. Checklists are not for everybody. I definitely, for some people that is stressful. But for me, I don't know. It creates a happiness in my life.
Yes,
I do them, you know.
yes,
So I love that. So so everyone, of course, I know everyone's not a morning person.
yes.
Um, so when you say morning routine, but it's not necessarily geared towards the time of day, right? Or
It 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 is,
it is okay.
especially because again, that time between sleep and awake is when you can receive the clearest
Okay.
voice of the
The
Lord.
clear. Okay. So it is in the
Um,
morning. Okay.
yes,
Um.
but let me just say this.
Okay.
A lot of times what people try to do, and this goes back to the checklist thing, and I want to say something about that because once you get a process, it does become a checklist. You know
Mm,
what I mean? But you don't look at it as, oh my goodness, I have to check this off. It's a process. And you just kind of naturally go through your
gotcha.
process and check off that list. So that's
Mm,
why I try to help people reframe that because it could be a stressor.
gotcha.
But I was saying about that
So
other
it's
part.
kind of like, I mean, when you said that, that kind of, I get what you're saying because I think about even if I don't write something, there's a checklist to my day in a sense, right? Like I wake up in the morning, I'm gonna get my coffee. But then
Yeah,
like when kids are in school, I gotta wake the kids up at this time. There's an
yeah,
order to which I do things. I may not just
yeah,
be I'm not writing down every step.
right.
That makes sense. Absolutely. I like the maintain and conserve energy. That I'm intrigued by this. Hmm. Conserving my energy. I'm like, so what do you
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Okay. We
yeah,
can
what do
speak
you
to that.
mean by that? Yeah.
So, so a lot of times, and there's two modes of exhaustion that I talk about. And in these two modes of exhaustion, we are utilizing our energy haphazardly.
Hmm.
So the first mode of exhaustion is that constant putter outer of fires. Okay, so everything is an emergency. Everything needs to happen right now, and everything needs to be done by you. So it seems. And
Mm-hmm.
so you're walking around putting out all the fires all day long, and that's where your energy is. And if you think about, you know, metaphorically, literally holding a fire hose, firefighters, they have to be strong and they
Yeah.
have to be able to wield that thing. And it takes literally a lot of energy to put out a fire, especially big fires.
Mm-hmm.
So when we are assigning ourselves to every fire in life, we are expending energy that we could be conserving for something else.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the same happens with the other mode of exhaustion, which I call the hot mess cleaner upper. Now, the hot messes sometimes come from the fires that are put out, but it's a similar concept. You know, somebody made a mess, or there's a mess here, and I feel like I need to be the one to clean it up. I need to take care of this and this and that and this and this and that because it's up to me. And
Mm.
expending your energy on all of those things again takes away from what you could be using that for.
Yes.
So, I mean, we could talk about priorities, we could talk about delegation, we could talk about any of those things, but really, this goes back to the Lord can guide you as to what is most important, which
Right.
goes back to the morning routine. What's most important for this day? He can guide us and tell us that.
Yeah.
And so we can avoid this, and that. So, example, homeschooling. A lot of people are homeschooling right now that are not used to homeschooling.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel the pressure of the
Yeah.
checklist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've seen it, but there are posts, there are people floating around with these words of wisdom about now is not the time to do this and this and that. Just be with your children. Just
Yes,
this. Just,
I've seen
spending,
that.
yes. So many different words of wisdom along those lines. And I can tell you from experience, because my first year of homeschooling, I was that mom who was like, oh my gosh, and I was just stressed and I wanted to quit
Yeah.
every single day,
Mm-hmm.
every day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, until I just really just had to let go and let God guide me and
Yeah.
know that, He would let me know what it is that I needed to do
Yeah.
and what curriculum they needed to do, or you know what I mean. I ended up one of my kids, my son, he ended up spending a lot of time in the backyard digging up stuff and making holes, making and we ended up being able to see in him his love for the outdoors and
Mm-hmm.
camping and those kinds of things, which
Yeah.
gave him a connection to his father because his father was in the military and you know what I
Okay.
mean? And he always
Yeah.
used to do all the camping and deployments and things. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
it was one of those beautiful things that I let go, trying to control everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Putting out all those fires and cleaning up all those messes
Yeah.
and just let it be what it was supposed to be,
Yeah.
which I couldn't hear because of all the clutter
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
I just,
That's good. Yeah, that's so good. I mean, going back to the homeschooling thing, because that first week, I had a whole agenda.
yes,
This is my personality, that I had a schedule.
yes,
At this time we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna have a break. And it looked really, really good on paper.
hmm
And then we went to execute it, and I was like, not getting
yes,
frustrated because we weren't sticking to my schedule. And
yeah,
so by day two, only got to day two. Day two, I was like,
yes,
this isn't working. But part of it was because the teachers were texting us like crazy. Like every 30 minutes, my phone was going off, and I was like, so between me trying to keep to my perfect schedule and
yes,
the text messages that the teachers were sending and the messages that they were sending were redirecting my efforts, and I was getting off schedule, and I was becoming very flustered, and I wasn't patient. I
tired,
eventually I put my phone on silent, because like usually it's not urgent. This is just something that they want to get to me now, and
yes,
eventually we will get through the day, and my kids will turn in everything that they need to turn in. If it's not going to be in the order that they want or that they suggest, it's going to be how we do it. We're going
right,
outside, we're going to the park, we're going to have PE, and
yes,
just finding things. So I had to let my schedule go and rework it, but I had to rework it too based off of my kids' personality.
yeah,
One of them struggles more with math, one of them more so with ELA. So I had to they have more time in the morning. So I let them have the one that they struggled the most on. That subject went first. And so
yes,
I just had to restructure and make it fit our family, make it fit and once I did that homeschool, it's been fine. Like
yeah,
I feel good about. I'm like, if it's 6 o'clock and I'm hitting submit, it's gonna be 6 o'clock and hit submit. But they got it done.
right,
And we still we love each other. It was a great
yes,
day. We were they're not
contention is
yet,
not
yeah.
present.
Yeah, so I love that too. And then, when you talked about putting out fires, there's a quote, and I hope I don't, it kind of goes like, other people's urgency or doesn't become your emergency or something like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
what I
Don't
can't
let other
remember
people's
exactly how
urgency.
it's quoted, but a lot of times we can fall into that it's an urgent for somebody else, and we take it
Yes,
on, and now it's our urgency or our emergency.
right,
And I think we have to use that discernment. Like, okay, is this really of urgency, or an emergency to the degree that somebody's making it, or can it really wait? But being able to say no also, which can be really tough for people, to say, no, what, I don't have the bandwidth to do this, or no, I can't do this. I
yep,
think that's also really important, because sometimes we want to people please. We want to
yes,
take on things that we really don't have the time and the space to do it in this season of our life. But we feel bad saying no. And so we take it on, but we create a stress, an additional, stress in our life. And so,
take
I
away
think that
all that energy that we could have been using for
exactly.
some other
Yeah,
part.
exactly. So I think that's really, I love what you said. I mean, I think it's perfect for, especially, like I said, what we're going through now. I don't want to put, like, this is important. Like, what we're dealing with is it's critical, it's important, and we definitely are having to make some adjustments to life. But I think that once we get past this, that everything that we're talking about still applies,
Yes,
right? Like
absolutely.
things still happen. We're still going to go through things in life. We still have to better manage our day, our time, conserve our energy. Like it's still
Yes.
important, you know? So it just seems very applicable right now because this is where all of our attention, that's what we're looking in the news, seeing in headlines coming across my computer like every day. And I'm just like, man, you know, so I think that's really important. So with the, I know that you said that it's kind of different. Like, do you mind with your morning routine? Like, is there one thing you know, that you do that you mind, you know, sharing with us about your morning routine?
So I'll tell you one thing that the Lord keeps telling me to do that I'm like, I ain't got time for this.
Yeah.
He tells me to take a shower.
And you tell him
So
you don't have time for this? Wait a
I like
minute.
to take my
What?
showers in the evening.
Oh.
I like to take evening showers.
Like, we need to talk. Okay, no,
So,
I'm kidding.
well, there was a time when we won't go there, but
Yeah.
so he'll just be like, and I just have to listen.
Yeah.
If I want my day to go well, and what happens is when I do that, I kind of get into a process, a flow,
Mm-hmm.
and I just kind of walk through the rest of my morning routine. When I don't do it, I'm like trying to fit other things in before I get in my shower. I'm like, oh, I'll take it in the evening because
Mm.
that's what I wanted to do anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Uh-huh.
so, that's just kind of one of my
Okay. Mine is just gonna be whatever. It's coffee, but there's something I don't know what it is because now you're so you. Was it Stephanie who does the shower, who said that God
crump
really speaks in
crump
the
cream.
shower?
Yeah.
Um, Me too. But that's not part of my morning routine. But
Okay.
and I don't, and I've been trying to figure this out. And I told and matter of fact, just like a week ago, I told my husband, I was like, I don't know why this is the case, but part of me believes that it's because it's the one place in my house that nobody bothers me, and I can just like it's
Yeah.
just me, and it's I don't know if it's the water, if it's the sound of the water, like I'm just relaxed and I'm calm and I'm just in a place to like receive the downloads. But I have
Yeah.
there's so many. I might need to incorporate it into my morning routine, but I get so many downloads in the shower. Part of me is like, I can't bring pen and paper into the shower, Lord. Like what? You know, but like sometimes
Yeah.
it's so much, and I'm trying to remember what
Yes.
it is that he gave me. But yeah, lately I've been having a lot of those moments, and so I may need to incorporate that into my routine as well. I am like you. I'm definitely like an evening time, like relax. This is like my way to relax and get and wind down for the evening, not so much in the morning, but you know,
Yeah.
maybe I need to change that up. So, so you help people identify kind of what the best
Yes.
morning routine is
Yes.
for them. Yeah, I think that's yes, very good. Unique, yes. I love it. So we talked about one of your classes, which was the let it go and just write. Now, connected to that, there's something else that you're gonna be starting here soon, and that is the I'm gonna get it wrong. I'm not gonna mess the prepper.
Stress Prepper Academy.
Thank you. I was gonna say pepper. I don't know why the stress
It's okay.
prepper. A cat
Stress
is
Prepper.
a cat. Yeah, the stress pepper prepper. Oh, girl, I'm sorry. Prepper. Can you talk a little bit about
Yeah.
what that class is going to entail and what it's about?
So pretty much what we're talking about now. So
Okay.
starting out, it's basically an experiment, this big experiment for your life, and I, I like to do teaching in a coaching way,
Okay.
just because it's everything is so individualized, especially when it comes to living our life and living our best life and all that. But so we start out with the morning routine.
Okay.
And I walk people through, how to determine that thing, because that is one way that we can navigate the mindful and proactive states where
Mm.
we are understanding the process that we go through already, and then the process that's most beneficial to us for our individual needs. So, and you kind of already illustrated that already. Well, maybe morning routine should include a shower. That's a question for
Yeah.
you now, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's the kind of things that happen. We look at what we do in our lives and we do an experiment
Mm,
based on what we could change. And I use it as an experiment because again, with the whole like checklist and kind of giving people things to do, people lose motivation, especially when they don't feel like they're doing it right, or if it's not, they're not getting the results that they feel like. But when you are going through the process and you are determining a process, you are then able to internalize it.
mm,
And when it's internalized, it's easier to live. Because you know how people say start with why and all that?
yeah.
Sometimes you have to go outside of yourself to find that thing and, oh, why? Why that? Why that?
Gotcha.
As opposed to starting inside and,
Mm,
you know what I mean? And
yeah.
finding that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I,
anyway, so it walks people through some very specific steps to
okay.
get them to that place, starting with the morning routine, so that they are able to live in a flow of life
Yeah.
where they can be more proactive and mindful on a daily basis. And once all that, those downloads start coming, you're going somewhere.
Okay. Okay.
God's leading you somewhere.
Yeah.
and,
Sometimes
and
it's like,
so
where do
that
I want to
unfolds.
go? Yeah. My God, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. But
And
yeah.
that's another part of it.
Mm,
Because we are not always ready to do those things, especially if it's big things.
yeah.
And so part of that is kind of figuring out your process of going through the thing,
Got it. Okay.
because there's a lot of times there's opposition, like, technology and things happening to keep you
Yes.
from starting the thing, right?
Right. You're like, okay, really, God, yeah, that's how I was feeling. I was like, man, yeah,
Yeah.
but there, I totally, yeah. Sometimes that opposition, especially when you're not comfortable in the space, like God is calling you to do something that's maybe outside of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
and you face that opposition. I know I can be guilty of this. I'm like, see, look, I shouldn't do it. I try to use that to justify why, but I always get my hand tapped. He was like, no, you really. You're like, better. No, I
Yeah.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking for any out, right? But God works it out, and it always works out when it's something that God wants you to do. It's gonna work. It eventually it'll work the way that He wanted it to work. So, because
Can I
I
say
think
something about
sometimes.
that too?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry. As you were saying that, the thing that I want to stress about that is that he gives you power to do things that
Hmm.
you wouldn't normally do because it's his thing.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
it's almost like having a second wind and not having to expend as much energy because he will provide the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
guides you and he puts things in your path. You just need to keep taking the steps.
You got to keep trusting them. I agree. Yeah. Even when I love it. Yep, I agree. Everything that you said, because I'm like, well, even when we
Sorry to
don't
cut you off.
know how, we don't know like the details. We don't know the how. Like in our mind, we can't necessarily piece it together. And it's a trust thing. It's faith. That's what faith is about. Like
Yes.
it's not faith if you have all the pieces and you know how it's all going to work out. Like this,
Right.
there's not a lot of faith required for that. I can say that Purpose for a Purpose has been a complete walk of faith for me. But I love it, and it's growing. It grows me personally. It's growing me in my relationship with Christ, because it's a lot depending on Him. Like I don't know what's
Right.
going on. But when He does,
Exactly.
yeah, and when He gives us those downloads, I feel like that's just Him taking it to another level. Especially for me, He's like, okay, so yes, you did. Okay, you did that. Good. Now I got this over here, and I'm like,
Right.
He's like, but He has an amazing track record, though, doesn't He? Like if we
Yes.
really look back at our life in general, not even just the things that we are doing and stepping into now, but just in general, He has shown us time and time again that He can be trusted, that He's faithful, that He's there. He's not going to let us down. He has everything that we need and then some. And so if He's done it in the past, then we really can move forward knowing that He's going to continue to do the same thing. Like he's the same yesterday, today, tomorrow. He will be the same 10, 20. He will be the same forever. And so if that's the case, then we can trust Him in every step that we take. We just have to get out the way. we
Yes.
have to step aside and allow him to be who he is. And so I don't know if that's just what we need to say today. So
I guess so.
that was good for me. Yes, I'm like, Janita, that wasn't, yeah, but that's just the truth. And that's how we have to really operate. I think that's a big piece of, even in our stressful moments, when we are having those moments, right, that we're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to
Right.
do next, but going to God and knowing, though, that when we go to him, that he'll answer, that he will
Yeah.
give us the
He does.
guidance that we need for the day, for the moment, right? For whatever it is, he has what we
Yeah.
need. So I love that. So I kind of skipped over this, and I should have had you define stress. We've
Oh.
been talking about it, but you said that, stress, we kind of need to update this definition of stress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that. And then so one thing about Instagram is that it's going to kick me off here in a minute. I'm
Okay.
afraid. Yes. So let's touch on that real quick. And then
Okay.
if we have to do a part two, then we'll do a part two,
Yeah.
but yeah, let's talk about the definition of stress and what needs to be changed or updated about that.
Okay. So first of all, I don't like to give a definition of stress because
Okay.
everybody has their own. So the first thing, it's important to know what stress is to you.
Okay.
That's the first thing. So that's what definitions of stress don't include. It doesn't include how I think it is.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I think we really just defined it. Stress is basically trying to do all the things on our own without God.
Ooh, that's good. I like that definition. I know you said we shouldn't define it, but I like that.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
it is what it feels like to you, and if that resonates with you, then that's what it is to you. But there's a more psychological, definition of stress, and it goes into, how we respond to triggers, and and then what happens to our body, and it's more physiological and psychological. But the thing that it does not address is how to overcome. And not just recovery overcoming, but also the proactive part of that. How do you build in your habits, your process, so that when stressors come up, you're not depleted already? That's what they don't talk about when they talk about what stress is.
You're right. Yeah.
This is what it is. This is what it does to your body, and it depletes you. Manage it.
Right.
That's what we get.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll tell you what.
What?
We should have lived with that. Can we schedule another? I want to talk about that, because we don't talk about how to overcome stress, like that recovery piece. So maybe we can do another talk where we really just kind of zero in on that recovery piece, regardless of your definition of it, like how you define it. You define it how you define it, but either way you experience it, right? So you experience it. So when you are experiencing stress, how to overcome it. Can we do that?
Can I share something with you?
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you and I first met, was that January? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was like the end of. Yeah, it was January. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
when we first met, I told you that I was working on a book.
Yes.
And I had been working on it starting about November-ish. And I haven't said anything to you since then about that. But the other day, what had happened was the Lord told me, it's time. It's time. And as I started to put these pieces together, like we talked about, things just kind of started to fall into place. And this is basically what it is. The book is really helping people figure out what stress is.
Okay.
Helping them, guide them through, and it's a 3 simple step kind of managing your stress thing for women of faith specifically.
Okay.
But I call it keeping your calm during COVID-19 and beyond.
Oh.
Yes. So, I mean, just throwing that out there.
Okay. Okay.
So, so maybe
All
you'll
right.
next by the next time you'll have that, have read that, and then we can talk about the book.
Oh, well, I was gonna do it soon, but I mean, I don't know how fast you write.
Well, it
Express.
needs to come soon.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Okay.
wanted to have it ready by today, but it's not.
No. Okay. But we're getting close. We're getting.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, we will definitely continue to keep in touch. Because I want to definitely schedule this so we can do that. We can continue to talk, and then I would love to be able to talk about the book, or you share a little bit about the book. Maybe I would have read it by then. And oh, I'm so excited. That
Yeah.
I love hearing stuff like that though. Even if I didn't know you, we just happen to just have a random conversation. Just to hear like when people, have something that God, and God has just given them like the go, or given them the resource or whatever to kind of make that next step, and they're almost done. Like to see that thing kind of come to life, to be birthed. To be birthed. That is exciting to me. So thank you for sharing that. I
Sure.
forgot we mentioned that.
Yep.
That
I
you
did
had
too, and
shared
I was
that
like,
with
oh.
me. Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, that's a cherry on top to this. That's
Yeah,
exciting. That is so exciting. I know how that feels. So please keep me posted
I
on
will.
that. I'll be watching the page too. So so before we go, how can people connect with you more to just see kind of what you're doing, or maybe even
Yeah.
to work with you?
So mostly I'm on Facebook. Again, you talked about the 90 days of calm. I was
Mm-hmm.
doing daily videos, but now I do them weekly on Thursdays, but I'm always posting something every single day for 90 days of calm. Today I'm talking about the power of deliverance because today is the first day of Passover,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
symbolizes deliverance. So people can come over to my page. It's at Master Your Mornings if you want to search that on Facebook.
I'm a,
Um, I think there's also a link here, but yes. And then there's rahfreestone.coach. I have some coaching sessions around creating a proactive calm, which we kind of talked a little bit about that. Um, and then just kind of wait to hear about this book that's coming.
oh,
And actually, I have if you're interested in being on the mailing list for that book, I
okay.
have a website. Here, let me
You gonna
type
type
it.
it in? Okay. Okay.
Oh, maybe you can type it in because you've got two hands, right?
Yeah. I was trying to
Okay,
put your okay, what's the website?
okay, it's ebook
Okay.
dot
Mm-hmm.
create proactive calm.com.
Create all one word, right?
Uh-huh.
Proactive.com. All right, I'm gonna put it up there.
Ebook dot create proactive calm.com.
Is that right?
Yep.
All right. Yes. All right. So I will, and I'm also going to I'll put your Facebook page too, up there.
Okay.
And as we share out, as we share the video and stuff, I'll post it and connect so people can connect with you more and find out
Yeah.
about your classes or work with you and just kind of
Yes.
keep up with what you're doing, be a part of the 90 days, as well. So
Yes.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining. This has
Yes.
been enjoyable, and been a delight whenever I get the opportunity, to chat with you. You're just, I was saying that in the first video that when we're trying to connect, like you're just so calm.
Yes.
You're so calm. So when I saw you did an interview before, and it was the Queen of Calm, and I was like, that's like the perfect name for
Yeah.
you. Perfect. So
It took me a
perfect,
while
perfect.
to catch on to that one, but
Yes.
I'll have to tell you that story sometime.
Okay, I would enjoy that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, your
Thank
Wednesday.
you.
I'm gonna
You
try to
too.
jump on. I definitely want to see this video that you're gonna do about deliverance. So yeah, so we'll connect soon. And thank you again for joining.
Thank you. It's glad to be
Bye
here.
bye.
Bye
Yes.
bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can be notified of any new videos that we upload. And if we aren't friends or connected on social media, I would love to connect with you on Facebook or even on Instagram, or just drop me a line via our website. Thanks again for watching.